slide. So rather than being so worried about everything, what's on day 26, what is on day 31, how do I catch up? Now, we have reached a turning point. Around 50 days, we consider that a turning point. So we have cut it off at day 47, right? And we are saying to you, congratulations. If you're reading this page, congratulations. So please make sure you open this page and you read it, right? And I even said this in the flyer that I put in there for you. Uh, why is day 47 important? Because we have reached a milestone. You have done a lot of things. You have been in and out of the class. You have been worried about whether you will make it or not. It is like you being at a job. Okay, you're going in and out. You're learning something. You're failing something. You're not sure about yourself. So this is a reset. Reset means that starting on day 47, right? All you have to do is come and read what is here, required student resources. By this time, you should be able to access the labs. You should be able to access Guacamole. So I'm going to open one by one. Okay, right? I'm going to remove this, the videos. Then we also have all the videos. But we are going to create a new playlist, a non-confusing playlist called a reset playlist. We do this all the time. So you should be able to come in here and you should be able to log in. If you're not able to log in, you have a problem, reach out to us. We will support you. Zen Orchestra, it is not important now. It is going to become very important when we study data center. How to start a data center, how to establish yourself, having a data center mindset, how you can actually step into the industry. We have a data center class we are going to teach. We are going to put a lot of building block leading towards data center, leading towards data center. Okay, we have all of these modules, but our media guy, uh, who's a young teenager who's helping us out, um, he's going to put a new playlist called Reset Playlist. So if you guys just go to that playlist alone, day 48 onwards. And if you don't look at date 17, all of this 16, oh, I'm on day 10, I'm still 11. These are going to be stuff you can always go back and enjoy, have extra stuff, more stuff to learn. Um, our experience shows that a lot of people are not able to go back and catch up so much. 50 days is a lot to catch up. So we are going to make your life easy. And we're saying that on day 47, which is here, take a start from here. You can find out, see that on day 8, we covered IT. Day 9, Linux file system. Day 30, we were talking about processes, boot process, user management. So, what we are going to do is we're going to, today's module 6. Tomorrow, we'll reprint the course completion table. We'll show you if you're done module 6, module 7, what have you completed. Okay. Uh, In these modules, we have put some very nice, for day 48, we have created some quiz material for you under quiz 48. You can go in here, you can see um, that's the code. Well, sorry. Is that the code? Yeah, that's the code. Okay. So where is our module? Module 2, right? Day 48 is starting from, hmm, oh, I didn't realize some of the stuff is, okay, unable to render code block. Okay. So day 48 is taking you to your day 1. Basically, in some ways, all you have to do is just go ahead and practice Linux file system. Yeah, remember Linux file system we did on, it was like a day 9. Okay. So you root user, regular user, sudo user. If you don't know all of this, you just have to just scramble down, right? This is a very easy 5 to 10 minute read. You can just scroll like this, uh, look at it. Do you understand it? Are you unclear about it? Practice absolute path. There's a little practice if you want to just practice absolute path. Okay. So this is how day 48 is lined up. Day 47, day 48. Today is day 58. Okay, day 58. So module 6, right? Uh, our learning objectives, July 4th. You can see the date. These are the learning objectives of what we're doing. Very important stuff. Uh, big questions on on interviews come out of this section. We taught this last week, but we kind of realized we didn't have all the material. We were teaching the old material. Now we've actually updated the material. This is all um, enterprise standard. This is not notes to just teach you. So today we are going to learn all of this. This is our goal for today. Our learning objectives for today are here, right? We're going to learn about uh, PID1. We have talked about it. I'm sure you know that. Looking at the logging system is very important. Everything that we're doing, ladies and gentlemen, everything has to do with logging. When you hear something down the line, we're talking about reliability. Okay. When we talk about reliability, when we talk about SRE, the job openings, contracts for SRE, SRC, site reliability engineers, site reliability. I don't even know what C stands for, but these are acronyms, right? Uh, the science behind this, the science behind this, ladies and gentlemen, is this. This is the science behind it. This is your science. If you know this stuff in Linux, that means you know the core technology. Core. What does core mean? What does core mean? Meaning you got a Linux machine and you guys log into as root, right? And you run a bunch of commands. This is core. This is the core technology. Now, when you get to graphs like Grafana, right? When you get to things like uh, things where you're going to monitor and alerts, right? These are all subjects that should go on your resume. This is all information that you must know. So when we teach that class on SRE, Site Reliability Engineering, this is the core. This is the birthplace. This is where you can say today's modern systems have come from. Anybody who understands this core is a master of this industry. Because if you know what's in your engine, you have your car and you have your engine. So you have your core there, core Linux. And then you have a dashboard on your car that has displays, right? Graphs and charts and fuel gauge. You have your display. Okay. The display is all coming from here. Linux is providing the displays. The displays are not appearing from thin air. It's not some heavenly magic. It's not some revelation that it's coming. It is connected directly to your Linux machine. That is why you're learning Linux today, because you know the core. I am teaching you these core objectives. Moving forward, this is how we are going to study every class. So if you know what I'm going to teach you now, I'm going to be teaching you, and you're saying, why am I learning this? Why do I need to the var? Why do I need the var folder? Because tomorrow we are going to build our first website, right? And you'll see the var folder is so critical. We're going to learn about general CTL, rsyslog every day, every interview. They expect you to know this. Why would they expect you to know this? Because today's modern AI and data and all that stuff that you're streaming, it is streaming from the machine. All the data is streaming from here. Streaming. If you have in an environment, you have, let's say, 1,000 servers, and these are all Linux VMs. These are VMs, and you have 1,000 of them. You have 1,000 of them. All the data from each one of these, okay, is streaming. Okay, how is it streaming? So we have a core technology in each of these boxes that is working and pushing this data out. It is pushing it out, it's pushing it. And then we have to do something. We have to put something over here, and eventually we get a big, nice graph showing us all our 1,000 machines if you want to see them and understand what is the matrix. Get a big, nice graph showing us uh, if our memory uses aggregate or what. So down the line, this is the engine we are working on today. I hope we are clear. If anybody have a question, ask me now before I move forward. Okay. Omofe Mariam, don't worry. I hope you understand that day 47 is a restart. Just go to day 47, go to day 48, and keep following I have not posted all the days, but I wanted to show you if I had posted 49, 50, everybody will be confused. So I'm just going to post one day at a time, so you guys can build up on it. Okay. All right. So this is what we're going to learn today. If you look at the presentation that I've provided, right? I've also given the practice lab. Okay. Uh, the lab objectives I'm gonna walk them through with you. That's what the class is all about. Things that you need to pay attention to. Understand that this is a very important topic. The entire industry is now depending on logs. If you don't know logs, you are wasting your time in the world of IT. IT depends on logs. It is all data. And without data, you can't do anything. All AI is operating on data. When we will build an agentic AI like Olama, we have a class on agentic AI. And I'm hoping that we can, I will have to talk to Bilal Khan and see if we can, because you have to have Python, a little bit of Python, and then we'll learn agentic AI. You can build your own agent in your own machine that will tell you exactly what you need to do, how to solve your problems for you. You can train your own agent, right? So this is such a critical topic. Okay, this is what the whole world is depending on now. Entire data, how you get the data out. So logging is so important. Okay, so here's a practice lab. You guys can look at it later on. There's also, um, yeah, those are the learning objectives. And then, of course, we have the notes. I hope it is loaded properly. I don't know. Is it opening for all of you, this notes or no?
Yes, it's open
Yes,
for me.
I have seen it before, but today I don't know if it's working or not. Yesterday it
Okay,
was okay.
okay. No, I just posted this today, day 58. अभी आप देखें जरा check करें. If you can check and see if this is loading, if not, I'll have to do something to fix it later on. So what we are going to do after the class, and what I'm going to do after every class is I will add another file called additional information. If there's anything I teach that's not in this notes, you can open the additional stuff and grab the additional stuff. All right. So very easy for everybody. Um, Open the slides, look at the practice labs. This is the syllabus, what we are studying, what our objectives are learning, and why we are learning this. Because there's no point of sitting here and coming and learning and saying, oh, let me just run a command. Because they don't expect you to run a command. We are expected to understand the IT industry. This is at the core of the IT industry. Learning logs and how to play with them. Right. So we're going to spend time today doing this. Right. So let's go on. Let me close all of these other resources. This is right, labs. Okay, fine. So now let me open this. Perfect. All right. So let's get started. Let's fire up. And this is some nice stuff, but it requires a little bit of practice, right? So welcome to Linux Module 6. We have studied System D, and we are going to study list System D in more detail and processes. when we do the boot process next week. That subject is very big. It may take us 2 days to do that whole subject, right? So it's a big subject. And then we are going to get into the final big subject, which is um, disk disk management, which is also on the Red Hat exam. We talked about this last time, that when you boot a system, right? If you want to keep your services persistent, what does persistent mean? Persistent means that if you have a service running like firewall in your system, okay, if you do not uh, enable those services, and then when your machine goes down and boots back up, that service is not running. It has to be enabled, and we will see how we're going to learn about this a lot. We are going to play with this. This you have to pretty much master this slide. Okay, this slide, we are going to use it all the time. All the time. You guys will become good at using the systemctl command. And I talked about it last week. The var folder is called a variable folder. It has some things like var lib, var temp, var cache, var spool, var logs, right? And var logs is where where we are interested. And it's called var because it's called variable, right? It's a variable, right? A variable. What does a variable mean? Meaning it is changing over a period of time, right? It's a variable. If you have this file over here, right, like this, and let's say this file was 5 megabyte file, right? It means that it's eventually going to keep on filling up. The file will keep on increasing until you get to a point where you have reached a point where the file is almost to the top, and you can no longer put anything in this folder anymore. So this is why this is the var folder. The var directory has been designed as a variable directory. It is where you put in your logs. Okay, wherever you do, you put your logs in here. So you can keep dumping, and eventually it gets to a point where it's filled up. Very straightforward, very simple. That's why we are talking about var log, and we're going to look at system logs. We know that this can grow large, and uncontrolled growth can fill up your disk and crash your services, right? So that's why logs are important. And at the same time, we have to manage these logs within our system, right? So let's move on to the next slide. All right, where is the next slide? So this is talking about the evolution. I won't worry about the evolution too much. There are two things that are still around from the mid 2000s, and that is your where is this guy? Where's my marker? Okay, I guess I don't have it here yet. Wait a minute. Okay, wait a second. Let me fire this up again. Okay, there we go. Good. So I can get my pointer back. So if you see this, as a transition, right? This one is a transition. Syslog, rsyslog, system. Let me just put it here. Let me do a better way to do this. This. So you have the syslog and rsyslog, okay, and you have the generalctl. So why is this called the legacy or transitional? Because this is all text-based. Text, meaning when you are working for a bank, Standard Chartered Bank, any bank, Zenith Bank, Habib Bank, any Canadian American bank, or any bank, Standard Chartered is an international bank, right? Local banks in any country that you may have. Bank of America seems to be slightly the only bank in America that's gone outside. But Standard Chartered is a very international bank, right? So one of the things you're going to notice that uh, when we start dealing with with dashboards, right? We're going to learn about site reliability. Okay, part of the data that you want to come inside that you're looking for. If you put a graph, let's say you have created a dashboard. Okay, so the question is, what are you going to put inside this dashboard? You say, okay, in this dashboard, I want to look at logs. Okay, well, what's the first thing that you will need logically? Let's go through logically. Let's put our mindset that this is what is really needed in the world today, right? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to need to locate. You got to locate uh, the data. Where is the data residing? So by locating the data, you're one of the best places to begin with in Linux is var log. Okay, that's how you're going to locate. Oh, okay, that's my location. If I give this path usually is the best path to choose. If you are working in a company, you're working for yourself, you are trying to create a dashboard, you're using any of the modern technologies that we are going to learn about. Okay, you will see that you need to know where this data is, right? You need to be able to find the data. You are going to we are going to have something called SQL, right? SQL. We're going to learn about that. SQL database. Okay, right. Now, SQL has a query language, right? It's a language. Like I'm speaking to you in English, Urdu, right? Yoruba, Hausa, or any other languages in any part of the world. Uh, it's a query language. If I say hello, your response is yeah, hi. Okay, so it's a query language, SQL, right? We're going to learn about this. Very important. So,
Excuse me, Nadine.
yeah,
For SQL, I think it's only available in Oracle.
yeah,
Or you can use.
that's why Linux. Very good. Thank you for that. Very good note. We will find out that in the Linux distros, uh, by default, it is always is usually Oracle. Yes. Yeah. Second thing is where is this database? The type of database. The type of database will be Oracle, which has SQL. Yes. So the point is this: the disconnect. What is the disconnect? This class is going to be very straightforward. Running the command, how to do log rotate, and how to find it here. That's the fun part. But we are not trying to just run some commands and click away. We need to understand what is the demand in the industry today. Okay. So what is the disconnect? Okay, what is the disconnect? I'll tell you what the disconnect is. We are learning logs today. Very good. What are text files? Because if you go to var log, you will find out that there's something called messages. Okay. If you open the messages, of course, it's got some text in it, right? It has a text inside it, text. Why is it text? Anybody? Why do we call it text? Because you and I can read it. Because you and I can read it. That is why we are saying is that RSys logs are text-based legacy logs. Modern logs, the modern general D system creates what is known as binary. You cannot read it. Binary. What that means is like your inode index. So binary means it creates an index. You have 254, 753, 100 million records. Believe me, this is nothing. This is a small number. These are your records. You'll come into a company, you'll find out they have this many records, right? These are what are these records? These are messages, these are logs, right? They need this log to develop a picture. You are using data to learn. Why are you dumping messages every day? Because your machine didn't start. Okay, there's a message. Login was a failure. That's a message. But then there are messages that come with the word error. They have a keyword error. You want to grab all those errors and see what are those errors. Okay. So when we get to that SRC module, you'll have a better appreciation of it. But for now, what we are trying to say is that just like this general CTL, this operates kind of like a database. This is a database concept now Linux has adopted versus the old RSys log system. This is still running in Linux. This is still running in Linux. All the companies are using them. They're using them on machines. And so, like I said to you early on, if you have you have 1,000 machines, this rsyslog and syslog are running here on this machine. And they are pushing information to your system D general D. And they're all getting collected in a binary in some 10101010. This data is also coming 101010. This is also coming a 1010. That's why they decided that if you want to collect everything in one bucket from all these servers, let's put them in system D general D. And this is easier because it's a 1-0 binary system, which is easy. And in indexing, you can find in a 1-1. Let me just find a record 1101112, 1101101. And immediately it can find the record in the middle somewhere and pull the record out for the person. So there's the speed at which you can pull data out and display it has become essential. This rsyslog and syslogs also give you speed. In fact, this was designed as high performance tools of their time, and they're still being used. In fact, R stands for Rocket Fast System Log. In fact, this is what Linux came up with. You can see the word rocket right here. Rocket Fast Syslog. You see that? So that rocket fast meant that at the time when this technology was being used, based on the technology of its time and still being used, for one machine only, this is perfect. This is perfect because for single machine, they're still the best technologies. That's why they're still being used. They're still being used. Why? Why are they being used? Please don't go and think that these are deprecated. They're still being used because they can work very fine on one machine at a time. But when you do an aggregate, when you combine 1,000 machines together, right? You can bring all of this information out using just this. So what you're doing is you're running this on each machine and you're pushing it out, and then bringing them into Journal D. You're bringing them here. And then you have a tool called Journal CTL. This is the tool, the command line that you guys are, and all of us, we use this command to find the log we're looking for. Okay. So we are going to learn all these methods because they're still being used. Then I've put in here, you can see all the way the kernel, the apps, the services. This is what system log will do, is grabbing all of that. Now, there's another thing I've put up here we are going to talk about later on, right? Which is the central logging that is done today in companies, right? Because if you have 100 servers, you need a place to have this centrally logged, okay? So I hope you understand this a little bit. Let me erase this. You have any questions, go ahead and ask me. This is just an overview. I hope by showing you what I've just showed you, it demystifies this diagram. Like I said, these are running on individual machines. Okay. This is where you have multiple machine data coming in. Okay. And this is just a tool. How easy is it now? And we are going to use this command. This is very popular in the Red Hat exam, as well as they expect you to know how to use tail-f. Tail-f. This is like a find. It goes and digs into a log and it'll give you real time. This is real time. This is how you get real time information. If you want to see what's streaming right now, this is where this technology in Linux was and is still being used. Okay, right. So one of the things is that when we will get to dashboards, we're going to talk about what kind of query do you want to do, right? Because you have a query, right? You want to display something here. You want to display your number of servers. Let's say you have a bunch of servers here. And since you guys are very lucky, we are in a data center, you guys will see all the servers. We have about 100 virtual machines running on our Zen Orchestra today. And each one of them, Lab, Abby, Lab, Walex, Lab, Asim, Ifra, Khadija, John, right? Mofei, Momin, Mubarak, everybody's got a machine. But if we remove everybody's names and rename these machines as, let's say, X138, 139, 132, right? Each one of these machines, this data that's being displayed, where is it coming from, guys? Where is that data coming for this machine, for one machine? Where is the data? Where am I going to pull the data from? What bucket? I have no, this is my car. Okay. I have no petrol in the car. My tank, my petrol tank is empty. I need to be able to take something like this and put it inside. Okay. Where am I taking this from to fill my petrol? I'm taking this from where, guys? From where? From here. RSys log. From where? RSys logs. Okay. For each machine. But if I need an aggregate data like this, then I'm pulling that from here. I'm going to pull it from here. But we are eventually going to talk about queries. What are queries? Okay. Why do you need database for? Right? We need database for authentication. Right? You have a database. And tomorrow we're going to talk about that. We're going to introduce some database of how you do authentication when you create a website. Right? So that's one use of it. For authentication, a big use. Big use is authentication. The other big use is data. What data? Logs. This logs we are talking about. That is one way database is used. Another way database is used is logs. Logs. They're all here. If I can get my bucket and I can somehow create a display, I can make a query. I can query this database. This database can pull anything I want, and I can query whatever I want and display whatever I want. So we'll get to that point. Are we clear, everybody? Are we clear? Or we are as clear as mud?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, clear.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Let's keep on going. This is important to understand. Now, how logs work in Linux, right? I said the traditional log writing methodology and the general CTL. This slide is for info. Read it, enjoy it. But basically, the only thing I want to point out here on this slide is that rsyslog is the traditional logging daemon. The daemon. What is the new word in the industry for daemon? Anybody?
Agent.
Thank you.
Agent.
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 If you want if you want anything done for your for nowadays, you can find an agent. In the good old days, if you want to buy a ticket when there was no online, when I grew up in Nigeria, I mean, you had to go to an agent that will buy you, will be able to put a ticket together for you to fly out of the country, right? So agent is as traditional as mankind. From the day where mankind has been created, there is some agent. Okay, so demon, they didn't like it because it sounds a bit strange. Industry used the word demon, but demon is nothing more than an agent. Okay, so within a machine, you have an agent, which is a demon. And why is demon important? Because you will see something. Let me show you. Let me show you this real quick. To understand this concept is very important, right? So, when we are going to do firewalls tomorrow. Firewall D, CMD, okay, hyphen list, hyphen all. Sorry. What am I doing wrong in this line? 1 second here, 1 second here. Let me see. Why am I getting am I typing something wrong on the show? This something is all. Okay. How can I list? 1 second. That. Let me open this. Now we're better. Okay. So my flag is right. The flag is right. What I type about firewall dash CMD. Oh, sorry. I put a D. Sorry, firewall. Okay. Yes. Now you see, I use this, and I don't even remember sometimes the commands, because in Linux you don't have to cram anything. You kind of know, okay, this is the command. You made a mistake. I just went online and checked where's my syntax wrong. Okay, there's no D. Now I'm not shy about telling you that I've used this a million times and still forget the D at the end. There's no D. Because there's so many commands and your mind can play a game on you like, oh, was it firewall D? No, firewall D is a demon. That's what I wanted to show you. But my brain is saying, no, look for it. Okay, here we go. Tomorrow we're going to study firewalls. I'm going to set the pace for you, right? And you can see there's a thing called here target. We don't worry about that. There's services. Okay. You have a service running in your machine. We're also going to do cockpit. Very interesting service to look at. DHCP6 client is running. Okay. There's SSH running in here. Okay. So if there is a service, I told this to you, I mentioned this to you many times. The example of the airport, you have a counter at the airport, right? At a bus station, at a train station. You're standing in a car and there's a gate, right? You have to go out in that gate, right? So that's your gate, gate 10. Now this counter, what do we normally call this? What do we normally call this counter? Service counter. We call this a service counter. So here you can see clearly that we have services. That's a service counter. And it is under the firewall. What is firewall? This is the system that's is there to the front of protecting everything. So you can't just go and walk into the plane. The service counter is there. They have put some kind of barrier over here for you. There's some kind of barrier over here for you. You got to walk through this. You got to come here, and there's some kind of machine where you scan your boarding pass, right? So this is a service counter, and on this service counter, you're gonna have an agent, okay? And the service is called SSH. This service is called SSH, okay? There is a service is SSH. What is the agent called, guys? Anybody who wants to give it a guess?
SSHD.
Thank you very much. Who was that? Answered this question.
Wallex.
Mr. Walex,
Yes, sir.
we're gonna have to go to Demasis now.
Sounds good.
You nailed it. You nailed it. So very good, very good. I know it's a bit hesitant, but now you can put this concept one plus one equal to two very clearly, what I've been talking about. After
Sure.
50 days, this will become so clear to you. Your mind will start to plug in the details. We have a service called SSH, and we have so now let's check the daemon. And we said in the beginning of this class, the most important slide is this slide for you guys to play with. Systemctl command, right? Start, stop, restart, reload, enable, disable. This will become your daily bread and butter. This is your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, appetizer. So systemctl status SSHD. By the way, SSHD is something we have been doing, and we are going to have a whole topic on SSH because we have talked about it so much. You're logging in every day using SSH. Everybody by tomorrow should have your OpenVPN. You guys will not have to worry about using Guacamole anymore or doing anything fancy. You can use your command line simply on your laptop, open your VPN, and in you come into your machine. Create, very easy to work with it. And you're going to SSH from your Windows machine. You're going to SSH into this, right? You will be sitting in your house, right? In your home with your laptop, and you're going to SSH right into our data center here in Houston, Texas. Okay. Where you will have your virtual machine. So you'll be able to go using your laptop and SSH right into this. In order for you to achieve this SSH successfully, service must be available. How do I know the service is available? The firewall list command tells me my service is available. How do I know that the agent is running? I check the status of the agent. So I have to do number one, I have to look for the service. Number two, I have to ensure that the agent is running. Because you can't have a service without the agent. They're married. So remember this in Linux. If you know this concept, you have mastered a concept that most people take 5 years to learn. Believe me, they don't even get this concept straight. And they're so stuck. Oh, the SSH service is not working. Why are we calling it a daemon when it is a service? Why are we calling a service a daemon a service? Well, the service is a service that's available, meaning I can provide you car wash services, but my car wash is only open between 8 and 5 because my agent is only available between 8 and 5. After 5 o'clock, the service the service is there. It's not like the building disappeared. You are in Lagos, you're in Pakistan, you're in America, you go to a car wash on Sunday, the car wash services are not available. The service is there, but the agent is not there. If the agent is not there, service is not available. But come back in business hours, Monday through Friday or Saturday, the service is still there. Doesn't mean that they went and bulldozed the building. That, oh, today we close our restaurant, let's burn it down. Service is always there. So the service is in the system. You see the service is available. You can remove it if you want, You can burn the building down, but why would you do such a thing, right? So there is a service here. The service is available, plus the agent is now status. So let's look at the status. Is the agent there? Okay. So we can say, there we go, right? Let us look at this. And then we'll take a break in about 4 minutes. We'll take a 10-minute break so that we can. I hope you're enjoying the material. I hope you're understanding what we're doing. I hope this material is making sense. This is your service, right? And this is your agent. The difference between the service and the agent is the D. That's why we call traditionally Linux called it daemon. Okay, because they wanted all the use, not because this is some kind of a satanic thing. Maybe it was, I don't know. I can't tell you for fact. But this was created as the word behind it is not demon, it's a DAE, demon. So they wanted to differentiate between the service and the agent. Now you can see clearly your service and your agent. And we are going to look at a lot of things, like we're going to look at the HTTP, one of the big top protocols in the world today for web services. Web services. You hear the word web services. You've seen this word all the time. This company provides web services. Tomorrow you become a consultant. You say, hey, I can provide you web services. Now the word service here means that HTTP will be the service. Do I see HTTP here? No, I don't. That means right now my HTTP service is not available. Do I see, number one, do I see a daemon for HTTPD? Okay. Because if the service is there, there has to be an agent that's going to work with that service. Tomorrow we're going to work with this. Tomorrow that's what we're going to work on. That's why you hear about Amazon, Azure, Amazon Web Services, right? Web services. And these are directly tied into HTTP. Okay. The whole billion-dollar industry on this, $1 billion+ industry running on web services. The whole world is running on web services pretty much nowadays. Right? You can't do AI without Googling something. Google is web services. Because they have a service in their Linux box. This so-called $1 billion, trillion-dollar industry is sitting on a very basic open source called Linux. And in that Linux, you have HTTP service, and you have HTTPD daemon, or I will call it an agent for your ease. These two things have created a trillion-dollar industry. Two small items that Linux could provide change the digital. This is where the digital transformation is happening. When you hear and read about digital transformation, I want to bring Nigeria to digital transformation. And you're hearing any politicians talk. You hear anybody talk about digital transformation, big articles, big talk. They went to UK and America like us to study, and here and there, left those countries to maybe bring something back. And then when we come here, we found out that we are not even scratching the tip of the iceberg. What are we going to take back? Right? So transformation relies on this too. This is the basis of digital transformation. So welcome, gentlemen. As I said, now you understand from tomorrow how digital transformation took place on the planet Earth. That's how Linux came in the picture. It's two things, service and agent, has transformed the whole world. Because if you have a service available and an agent running, my God, you can do wonders with these two things. At the root of two simple things, you have digital transformation, right? So now you're part of that transformation journey. Let us clear that up. All right. Clear everything. Stop that. And we can see a couple of more things here. You can see the word enabled. Okay, and you can see it is active. Okay, don't make the mistake of making this, don't disable this service. If I disable it, what will happen? Because if I log out, I will not be able to log back in again. If right now I log out of this machine, the only way I can log back in is through my Zen Orchestra. That's why we provided you Zen Orchestra. If anybody's been thinking, why are we wasting time with Zen Orchestra? Because this is a data-centric mindset, data center approach. You cannot, you're sitting in your house, open VPN, right? You disable the service. Your SSH service is disabled. No matter what you do here, it's going to keep telling you a problem. Nope, cannot connect, cannot connect, cannot connect. Then how are you going to be able to connect? The only way you can connect is you will have to go and log into the Zen Orchestra link that we have, URL that we have provided you. You will jump into your machine and you're going to go ahead and enable the service. Only then can you SSH. Anybody who has a confusion about this? Before we take a break. Anybody who doesn't understand what I'm talking about? Anybody that is watching the Morocco game? Bless you, because I wanted to watch it too. Anybody that has any questions? All right. I think we are good. Everybody is good. We are clear. If you disable a service, you can never get back into it. So if you are running this on a local environment like VirtualBox, and you created a VM, you would have to destroy the VM. You won't be able to get back into the VM. Or you may have to do something else. You'll have to go through a long boot up process to be able to find and see if you can bring this SSH service back up again. Headache. All right. We'll take a break and we will come back in 10 minutes. Let me see, clear all of that, close that, minimize that, and let us bring our presentation so we can start going into, we said we are going to jump into RSys log, and we have bunch of practice exercises to do. So we'll start right here. You can read this, what RSys log does. I'll take a break at this point. I'm going to pause the recording. Any questions for me, please? So what we have discussed so far, moving forward, is that, let me share my screen. Right. So we have this here is our come on, don't do this to me. Yep, let me see. Yeah, okay. So let's do this again. Right. So we are going to explore the traditional log. You see the inputs, the CPU, the kernel, all the messages. Keep an eye on the word messages. This is one of the biggest things nowadays in the world of IT. You know, when you look at Uber, for example, you know, you're sending text messages, you have messages going back and forth, you have error messages, you have money being exchanged, there's secure, people are logging in, logging out, millions of activities are happening. You know, how many million customers does Uber have, right? Imagine how many million messages are floating into there. We'll get into technologies that can handle the messaging. And one of those services is Kafka. We'll learn about that messaging down the line. But does Kafka change the fact that RSys log? No, RSys log will always be there because that's in your Linux machine. Okay. So it's a text writer. It writes plain ASCII text directly to the file like var log messages. Anyone and anything can read it instantly with a cat or tail command. Only thing that it is slow to search. Okay, if a file has 10 million lines, Linux has to read through line 1 all the way to the 10 million line, right? There is no index. Okay, make sure you understand what I'm writing in these slides, right? Don't just think that you need to go and just start typing away. And so this is storage, the benefits and the downside of it. There is no index. So index is where we'll get to general CTL, right? So it works fine for looking within the Linux box, right? So now moving forward, you will see that we have something called ls var log, okay? And I'm going to just pop it up for you. I'm sure you guys are already trying that in the back, but you can see here clearly that if you go to system var log, right, and you did a listing, long listing, you can see all the logs here. Let me remove some of this because I've been uh, playing with these for class purposes. Remove that. What else we got? Okay, cron, we've got some cron logs. Okay, app1 log and app log. Let me remove that. Okay, rm minus rf. Okay, app1.log. Okay, and then app log. We're gonna do those exercises now. I've just because I'm trying to test all of those before I put them in the notes. So you can see the bunch of logs are here, right? And then you can see that what is it that your eyes is not seeing that you want to train your eyes to see? That's the number one question I'm going to ask you every time I put a screen in front of you. Okay, what is it that a 5-year, 6-year Linux guy does not see that you need to see? Okay, that's what mastering the subject is all about. So the only way you can master a subject is when you're able to see something that others can't see. So one thing you have to see very clearly is you have to understand this. You are always going to be finding the logs under var log. If you're asked a question where to find the logs, they'll be under var log. Now, under the var, there are going to be some other extensions we're going to look at, right? Var log, and then you have cron, var log, blah, blah, blah. But don't worry about all of that part right now. What you want to be more focused on is that you are in the var log folder, right? And under var log folder, we're going to find out a few things, a lot of things, right? We are looking at file sizes, right? Dates become really important to us because we're looking at when this log came, what time the log came. So time is an important factor, right? Where that's one of the important factors. Time and timestamps become very, very important for us. We're going to do a one slide on timestamps tomorrow, not today. So it'll be a nice, easy one to jump into. So time and timestamps, right? Then we come to see that we have ACM. We're going to learn about the modified date of a file. So you're seeing modified date. When was the last time this file was modified? What time? Okay. So time becomes important. Remember in the beginning of user management, I said we are not talking about time. We're not talking about space. We're only talking about permissions. So we were focused on this part of the equation: directory permissions, special permissions, ACL, user owner, group, right? We still haven't talked about this part, which is links. And don't worry about it. We're going to talk about them. Okay. When the time comes, I'll talk about it. So now we are going to start building this part. When we come to disk management, we will look at this. But timestamps, we're going to look at them coming up tomorrow, right? How to look at timestamps. And anything that has to do with time, we're going to see that we have something we're going to learn today. Cron. We're going to learn about anachron. These are timers. There's also something called system D. System D has its own timer. So you have this and you have this. So system, the PID1, when it came on board, when you logged in, it has a timer. It has a timer of its own, a timer. Okay, when you create things, you do things, it has a clock of its own, system D. Okay, so we will talk about the timer and where that timer becomes useful, the system timer. And then you have things you're going to set up within that time frame. Okay, so those are some of the things we are looking at here. Now let's clear that. So let's go into system messages. Here we go, messages. Now we say it is a text, so we can cat the messages. Look at all the messages I've put in there. See, all the messages that are going in there. You can find these messages, right? So one of the exercises I do here is so since you can do this with two terminals of your own using Guacamole or Guacamole, right? And using a command called logger in place of echo, okay? Because logger is used for where this is a more powerful command when it comes to working with logs and cron. You don't use echo, okay? You can Google the difference between echo and logger and learn that on your own. I did not want to put another slide to give you that difference. So you could do some little homework to find out what is the difference between logger command and echo command. And this is a far more superior command. It writes to general CTL as well, rsyslog and general CTL. Okay, echo doesn't do that. Okay, so it has some. It is on the Red Hat exam. You're going to use the logger command. Okay, for cron job. Um, that will be one of the exam questions you'll play with on Monday. So we are doing two things here, right? We want to do tail-f of the messages. What does tail-f do? It gives you live information, live feed. And then we're going to feed a log and see if we see the feed, right? So we're going to test the feed, right? I'm going to give this system a log, right? Let me clear this out. So let me go to PowerShell here and do SSH root at 192.168.1.97, the same machine. Okay. Okay, so I have two machines here, right? And that's why you need to have OpenSSH, because you can, with OpenSSH, you'll be able to work with your local Windows machine like I'm working. That's the power of using OpenVPN. You can have multiple boxes like this all over your screen. You have 4 boxes for down the line when we do SRE, SRC. You're going to need 3 or 4 boxes open. One is monitoring your memory. One is monitoring your top command. One is looking at the VM stat. So you're monitoring 4 different things. You will need 4 boxes open. Right now in Guacamole, you cannot do that easily, right? That's the problem. But it is there because it is there. That's all I can say. Now, so what are we going to do here? Well, the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to do pwd. I'm in my varlog folder, right? I'm going to go ahead and use the tail-f if I have it. Let's do tail-f for my messages. Okay. So now I'm listening. When you run this command, it's live. It's now listening for what you're gonna input in this. Okay. So I'm going to use this machine, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and say pwd. Okay. So I'm gonna go logger. Let me use my example that I've put so we don't miss it, which in pipeline. Okay, so there is one step missing here. Well, no, let's try that. Let's try it. Logger will take you directly to messages, by the way. That's right. That's why we're not doing echo. All right, so you'll see what we're doing here. Logger, let me just grab that one whole line, use the same line. Okay, now watch that. Okay, let's hit enter. There you go. Okay. Now, what is the difference between the echo command and logger command? One big difference you'll notice is for echo, you will have to do a redirect. In this command here, I did not redirect anything. I just said logger. Logger recognizes that this has to go into the messages. It directly throws this message, it appends and redirects the message straight into the messages folder. You don't have to say, you don't have to come here and write. Let's go to speculum. Okay. Yeah, so every time I hit the logger, here's a log. If I hit a logger, I have a log. If I hit a logger, I can hit log. You can see the messages, right? Echo, on the other hand, you will have to do something like put something inside here, and then you have to redirect it into some kind of a path. See the difference? Here, I didn't have to do all of that. Logger takes you right straight into the messages. So I hope you're clear. All right. So here we are showing you how to look at if you're at a company, they can ask you a simple question. They'll say, okay, they'll say, Mehak, we want you to have Mubarak, we want you to check rolling logs, rolling logs. So if you hear that word rolling logs, don't be confused. It just means you need to be looking at tail-f. These are rolling logs. You can see them rolling. They're rolling out, right? Something is happening. Another line will be added here. Then another line will be added here. You'll have line after lines coming in, added, added, added. So these are rolling logs. Why are rolling logs important? Because rolling logs will tell you what has happened in a timestamp. At right now, my time is 12:30. At 12:30, so many events have happened. This is an event, right? This is an event. Something happened. You call it an event. So this event has happened, and so I can make another event happen now, right? I can open this guy here, and where you go. Some more events have happened at 12:31, and I can make another event happen here. Okay, Control U, and I can just put in the logger command, and there you go. Another event at 12:31 and 18 seconds. 12:31, 18 seconds. Here's my timestamp. Here's my timestamp. Okay. And here is what the message is about, right? And you have to read this. Okay. You have to read the line and say, okay, hello, Linux lab testing the log pipeline. Okay. So that is how we are testing the log pipeline. You can test it locally in any company you work for to see if the logs are actually coming in there. If somebody tells you go check a rolling log, maybe it has to do with an app. Maybe those rolling logs are in another different path. The path may be different for that specific app. It may not be under messages. So if you are confused, you can ask, hey, where are the rolling logs and messages? Well, before you ask that question, you can go and check in messages. If you see anything related to that app, then you know for sure it's coming to this folder. Maybe it is going to another folder. Okay, so the developers may have configured it differently. They probably would be sending their error messages somewhere else, right? So you have an app like Uber. Uber has a payment gateway. You have to put your credit card, okay? Your credit card fails, okay? Where are those logs going, okay? Uh, driver and customer, driver and the passenger are communicating back and forth, texting. Where are those messages going? Where are those messages going? Okay. Very likely they're coming in here. They're coming into a folder called message folder, and they're getting logged into those messages. When somebody complains that the driver was not good, the car was too hot, uh, the man was or woman did not provide a good service, then you're going to write a text message to customer support for Uber. Okay. Uber is going to go back when they say to you, okay, we are reviewing your complaint. Okay. Where do you think they're reviewing your complaint from? They're going into that activity that has happened between you and the driver. Maybe first of all, let's look at the logs. Okay. Maybe your complaint was about speed. Car was going too fast, was braking too strong. They're going to have to look at secure logs, some kind of secure log. Okay. So this is how valuable logs are. Business decisions are made on logs. How somebody is saying that, they dropped me off early. There is in Uber app, there is a trip history data. Okay. You want from point A to point B. Okay. The driver decides to stop the trip over here for you. You are charged and paid for the distance going from A to B, but they dropped you off at, let's say, C location. How can somebody confirm that your complaint is good or bad? I was not there with you. The only way to do that is go into the logs. Look into the trip logs. You got a trip log. So they will open the ID, the user ID, UID, UID of the driver. Okay. They'll open the UID of the driver. They will take a look at that trip and the trip logs, and they'll find out that the trip was ended. The trip was booked from A to B, but the trip ended at C. Now they have confirmed through the logs what you're saying is true. You are the passenger. Okay. So they will have to refund you the money for that which you paid for, but you didn't get the service. That's how important logs are. Okay. That's what the purpose of logs is. Not sit here and get so carried away. So why is timestamp important? The incident that is being reported at 12:29. So you have to go to and look at logs at 12:28. The person is complaining that, so they'll look at the trip. When did the trip start? If the trip started at 12 o'clock, I'm going to look at all the logs between 12 and when the trip ended. Maybe the trip ended at 12:36. So time is very important. Timestamp is important to troubleshoot. So that's why it's so valuable to have logs. Any questions? Okay. No questions. Right. Okay. Then basically you do Control C and you can come out of the tailing of the logs. Let's look at the next step, which is, so we have looked at var log. We have done the tailing of the logs. We have understood the logger command because that's on the Red Hat exam. Now let's look at the general CTL. What is so unique about general CTL, right? It says data as a structured indexed binary, right? That's what it is doing. Okay, so I'm giving you a little bit of things you can do with this search. 1 hour ago, -US. Now, if you are working for Uber, there'll be no way you can go into rsyslog over here, and you could not use rsyslog to determine anything because there are 10 million users. There are 50,000 servers. Believe it or not, there are 50,000 servers. Easy. Virtual machines, cloud-based, Azure-based, on-prem. That's the money. When they say Uber loses money, people say, well, they're making a lot of money. And I always used to think for the longest that Uber is taking money from people and they're not reporting their taxes correctly and all that. And probably there's some truth to that because people do believe that could be a good reason. It's logically good, but from a technical point of view, from a non-biased, non-emotional, non-drama, non-politicized, from a pure technical point of view, Their largest cost is in running their database and servers and maintaining them, the cost of electricity, the cost of the data center, maintaining all of this technology that keeps their business running. 10 million messages are floating around every minute. And imagine they have to look for, imagine that you have 10 million people right now complaining. Out of 10 million, let's say simultaneously, 50,000 people are complaining right now. And the complaint is coming to Uber. Do you think you can use rsyslog to find the log? And never. Because rsyslog is only going to be looking at that one machine. But what they have done with journalctl, when they get a complaint, the query tool that is running nowadays is journalctl. It's binary, really quick, immediately. It saves data as structured indexed binary. So driver UUID, if the the user ID, UID of the user is 1001 in Linux machine, okay, or in the database, the user has been defined as 110001, whatever the ID they're using. Immediately, journalctl will find that record by narrowing down the searches for you in the back. journalctl has that binary capability to quickly pinpoint which data you need. You got 254 million records. Out of 250 million records, you're interested in only 2 records. Where are these 2 records in the million files? Where is this record that you need to resolve your problem? How are you going to find the pin in the hair stack? journalctl is a binary system that can find the pin in the hair stack, right? It can find the pin in the hair stack. And that's why they call it digital transformation. That's why the people who believe in this whole idea that, you know, the robots will take over the world and AI will take over the world, of course, none of that is ever going to happen. That is a fact. It will never happen that way because machines need electricity, machines need power. Machine just can't work on like you and me. We can go hungry for one whole day or 2 days or no water all day and kidneys are still good, right? For 5 days, we can survive on very little food, one meal a day or one biscuit a day with water. Well, a machine cannot survive on one biscuit a day. So, there are some limitations. This planet Earth cannot just give and produce so much power to power these machines all the time, right? There's a limitation. You're going to overtax the resources and capabilities and pollute the Earth. So anyway, long story short, journalctl is not a text viewer. It's a database. It's a database that you're looking at, right? Now you can appreciate why I took the time to not do this class, because I realized last week when I was teaching it that we are missing out on critical parts. I was using an old presentation. I could have just given it to you, your whole old presentation. You could have gone and start doing your lab practice and typing var log and you feel good that, oh, we learned something. But the real thing to learn is what I'm showing you here. So storage wise, it's structured. It is binary. The tool we are using is journalctl. It is not a text viewer like we viewed the messages. It's a database query engine. So when you type this command, right, the program queries the binary database. So you have a bit, it's like a database. And on top of this database, right, is an index. Uber has a problem. There are 300 million records being generated per hour by Uber in just in the United States. Plus, I'm not even, I don't even know because I've seen bank records and banks are generating 700 million records every day, right? Users using ATM card, this failed, that failed, data. Why do they need all this data, right? We need this data over here, okay? This is the data. So when there is a problem, there's a problem, you can go into the index and you can find exactly where that data is residing, okay? And you can pull that information out, you can review the information, and you can make a smart decision. Okay, yep, that's true. The driver stopped the trip halfway and then was forced the passenger to get out. Yes, you have a question, Abdul Ghani. Go ahead. Abdul Ghani, go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Good
Afternoon.
afternoon, sir.
Yes, hello.
Yes, sir.
Afternoon.
My question was about the Uber app. Is it that there are some people that is connected to the driver dashboard, or how will they track the time stamp and the speed, or if someone has complaint about like
Very good.
like
Very
the
good.
example
Very
you
good.
give?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let me say for now, for the purpose of this class, when we will deal with we are starting the web class, web development thing, sort of web service. We are going, and then we're going to do app service. When we get to app, I'm going to use Uber as an app. Okay. We as a company, Nexus as a company, we have developed our own app using Uber's technology. Okay. Everything that Uber does, we can do. We have so I will show you and teach you from that how these logs work. So don't worry about that. We're going to when we discuss apps, we will talk about all of that at that time. Right now, our focus is logs. That why logs are important. Logs are important because you need to be able to find data, be able to quickly get the data out in front of you, and be able to make. You go to a bank and you say, well, they overcharged me. They overcharged me $5. Okay, for something that I should not have paid $5. When you call the bank, what are they doing? The lady or the person who answers the call for you on the phone, they quickly go into the database using an indexing system. All databases use work index. We have learned about index when we talked about inodes. Inodes, in this concept of indexing is coming from Linux. Linux is the digital transformer on the planet Earth. So we learned about these are all people found, oh, Linux has this. Well, let's extend the idea in philosophy to something big that we can do on the side. So it has given birth to many systems, and they're all connected to the ecosystem of Linux. So index, you're sitting at the bank teller says, okay, let me check for you. They go into the index, they look at the transaction. How do they look? Because there is something called transaction. There's a transaction they can see that happened between this time. They'll tell you, sometimes even if you call your bank, they'll tell you, do you remember what day you did this transaction? Do you remember what time you did this transaction? Why are they asking you those two questions of date and time? Because maybe they're not finding the logs and they need to narrow their search. Okay, look for between Monday and Thursday. They're not finding it. And then you say, oh, madam, it's actually on, I remember it was on Tuesday. And you say, okay, hold on. Ta, 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 ta. Yes. I see there was a transaction for $100. There was a transaction for 151. And then you will say, yes, that's the one. The 151, that's the transaction. They're looking at logs. They're looking at logs. Everybody today is operating using logs. Logs help you to make smart decisions. Logs are helping you recover your money. Logs are helping you do customer support. L1, L2, L3. Many people have been asking me that I've been barking like a dog about L1, L2, L3. When is it going to start? When is it going to start? You cannot start anything without understanding logging. Nobody can support anything without understanding logging. Once you understand the concept of logging, why logging and logs are important, only then you can start supporting people. You can't call a bank and they have no logs. What are you going to support? If I take all of you and put you into L1, L2, L3 support team right now, what are you going to support? We have no logs. We have no data. The only thing we are thinking is, okay, somebody is stuck. They can log in. Maybe that is support. I agree that is support. But that's not what we are trying to teach here. I want you to have the clear picture of why there is a million. All of you sitting in Nigeria, you can start support companies. You'll be the next billionaires around the corner in 2 years from now. How do you start a support company? Simply, how do you even get AI built telephones you can use and provide technical support? How can you build your own agentic AI that would help you run your business? Well, you will need logs. You will need to understand logs. Without logs, you're nowhere. Logs is a fundamental digital transformer. You don't have this component, you have nothing. Okay. So yes, by the way, sister, like I said, when we talk about how Uber is doing their stuff, we'll talk about it when we discuss apps. We are not going. We are talking about logs and the logging mechanism. So does that answer your question for now? Okay. Because it is structured database, it is incredibly fast, complex indexing. You can instantly filter. You can get process IDs. You can search with specific search like system unit searches -u or an exact timestamp since this time to this time, since 1 hour ago, specific service, okay, process, any critical processes without forcing the system to scan millions of lines of text. Our syslog cannot do this. It will start from line number 1 and go down to 1 million logs. It'll go sequentially. So the time it's going to take is going to be very long. Your machine is going to be sitting doing this, looking for the logs. So, or the logs are there, but how much do you have to scroll up and down millions and millions of pages? You'll have like maybe 100 pages to scroll to find your log that you're looking for, or start running some queries. And we are going to learn those queries. We are going to learn the awk command, the birth of the awk command, why awk command came in order to narrow your search, how the sed command came in to narrow your search. We are going to learn the sed command and the awk commands, not now at the end of the course. Okay. So these are all interesting commands that help you to narrow down. If you have 1 million records and you want to look for a very specific record, you can run a sed command, you can run an awk command, and it will narrow down your search from 1 million records, maybe down to 2 or 3 records. Okay. So there are some sed and awk commands that go with the RSys logs that we are going to learn. People are on YouTube teaching you how a sed command works, how awk command works. You're trying to memorize how awk works, how sed works, but you don't even know why you're using them. You're learning how to use the syntax, but you don't know how to use them. Because these people on YouTube are not interested in teaching you the reason and the cause and effect of learning this game. They're there to make money so you can learn how to type a good command. Well, what good is there to type a command when you don't know what you're actually trying to achieve with it? What good is typing an awk command if, oh, I know awk command, awk / this, colon, blah, 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 / awk command. Okay. Why are you running awk command? I don't know. YouTube, they showed us the awk command is very important, that you can use awk command too. So learn awk, because in the interview, they'll ask you, what is awk command? But if somebody sits in an interview and asks you, do you know have you ever used awk command? You say, yeah. I mean, when we're doing logging and all the messages come down, especially with RSys log, awk command and sed commands are one of the 2 commands I've always used that help me to narrow down my search in the RSys logs that are, text files. But by the way, I'm so used to using General CTL. General CTL being a more binary system, I'm able to use that. It gives me a better search, it's more indexed. It's a faster search engine for me. But yes, I use awk command. I don't know the syntax of the awk command right now because I haven't been using it a whole lot, but I can Google it for you. And now, do you think the guy who's giving you and asking you this question in the interview is going to say, oh, you don't know awk command? You don't know sed command? He doesn't care. You already answered the question. that you know that awk and sed are used for narrowing down your search. Those are commands for filters. Filters. When you want to filter your data, these commands can help you filter the data. So you tell him, I'm using that to filter the data, but I'm using general CTL. But I remember, I mean, if I have to use, I use awk error and the path of the file, and I'm able to find all the errors in the file. And the guy will be like, this is the kind of guy I want to
Nadim,
hire. Yeah. Yes.
please, the awk command, I'm not very sure of the spelling of that awk command. Is it AWK or what?
Yes. AWK.
Okay, sir.
No problem. Yeah. We are going to talk about it later on, but I'm not going to teach you and waste my time on it, because the reason why is you can even go and Google them and how to use them. But we are going to do some exercises at the end of this 2 weeks coming down. We're going to teach you some of the commands that have been left out. Why? Why do we not want to go on YouTube? There's a sed command, awk command. Let me show you how look. What are you even using them for? What is the purpose of awk command and sed commands therefore? So if you don't even understand the big picture, you're just sitting in an interview, and the interviewer knows that you have come in the interview, memorize some syntax. Let me cram it. A awk command, it run the awk command, sed command. That's not a guy who can do a job right. Memorizing commands is not going to help you solve the problem. You need to know the picture, the problem. You have to deal with customer service. You have to deal with indexing. You have to deal with data that is coming inside. And how do I get the information I'm looking for? Okay, now let's start building on this. We are almost at 1 o'clock. And let us build on this. All right. So general CTL command since 1 minute ago, run these commands. I'm not going to run them here. I'm not going to run them here. I'm just showing you can run these commands. If you wanted to use the SSHD, for example, I'm going to use this general CTL SD. If you look at the general CTL, okay. Journal CTL -u. We're going to talk about this -u also later on, but for now, know the flag, SSHD. Very quickly, fast, it gave you everything you need to know about SSHD. If somebody tells you we have SSHD problems going on with this machine, right? So the general CTL command on SSHD will tell you, oh, these are all the logs. Something happened at 456, then at 410, 411, 412, 412. Okay. All right. UUID 0. It was actually just root trying to log in. Maybe there's a different ID that we had. Okay. You call Uber. You say, I can't, every time I'm trying to log in, I can get in. Okay. So that's how they're going to run. Somebody's going to run a search with a general CTL command on SSHD. Why aren't you able to log into their app? The app has to go through a process. We're not getting into that right now. So don't get carried away, please. Okay, one building block at a time. Understand what this block does. If you know this block, then you will know the next block. If you jump to the next block and miss this block, you don't know what exactly you're trying to achieve. Log name, look at that, failure, authentication failure, log name UID 0, EUID, blah, 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 some information. There was some user that had some failure from this IP. Okay. I've narrowed down just my logs there using general CTL. All right, let's move on. We have quite a bit of material to cover, right? So watching real time, we have done this. We have done that real time. So there is one thing that I've talked about is security information and event management, right? This is going to build into SRE. This is the building block for SRE. That's why I put this slide here. Just read it for now. No, this is not Wazobia. This is Wazoo. So for those who are thinking this is Wazobia, this is not Wazobia, I beg. So this is just Wazoo. So Microsoft Sentinel, ELK, Stack, Splunk, okay, all these names. So this is a centralized log aggregation, real-time alerting, compliance and retention, log correlation and AI analysis. We will do all of that later on. Okay. So this is the birthplace of site reliability engineering. Hundreds of jobs people are losing. I think the other day Ibrahim was talking about he's Red Hat certified. He went out in the market, found out, well, they're looking for SRE. They're looking for a guy with site reliability engineering experience. And you're asking yourself a question, well, I'm a Linux guy. Why can't I get a job with site reliability? I'm a Linux guy. What is DevOps? I'm a Linux guy. What is Grafana? I'm a Linux guy. What is all this? Well, all of these are connected to the Linux box. Everything you can see here, you see the black box tail, Warlog, everything is connected in the modern world today to some Linux machine. You are connected to a Linux machine, a virtual machine, which is usually the case. And what you're finding is there's a whole subject of scalability, right? Multiple machines are here, multiple databases are here. You are mining at thousands of machines, okay? And you're pulling all this data from each machine, right? Then you're consolidating this data, data, whatever you like. My language is not English, so when I came to America, it's data. When I was in Nigeria, it was data. The Queen's English versus the King's English. So choose whichever you like. Okay, I don't care. The SIEM, security information and event management, right? So this is the birthplace. The birthplace from logs came into enterprise level security. This is the growth. This is the digital transformation we are talking about. When somebody wants to write a paper on digital transformation, and if you have read as many articles out there, and if anybody stops you and asks you, what is digital transformation? And you say, Linux. Linux. What is Linux? How does Linux do it? Through its logging mechanism. This is the root. This is where you will find the answer. This is at the root of the development of the rise of digital transformation in the planet today. Right? You cannot achieve their digital transformation without this. This is where we are today. All this fancy graphs and fancy data. And now that you have got data centralized and aggregated, now you can say, oh, let us do machine learning. Let us do AI. Let us do agentic AI. Let us do this and let us do that and AI and AI and AI. When you have centralized aggregation, then you can have this information. This is the path forward to today's AI development. Machine learning and AI. We will do 1 to 2 hours of after Python. We're going to show you how to run a machine learning script. We're also going to have you put that in your resume. So you will know what is machine learning and what is AI. That's part of this class as a bonus. Okay. Now, if you don't understand this and you cannot explain this to a friend of yours, then you did not benefit from this class at all, honest to God, because nobody's teaching this. No paper is discussing this. Everybody is looking for some PhD level paper to find out what is this digital transformation all about. Well, it came about somewhere, right? Adam came, so we have 7 billion people today. If you look at the 7 billion people and say, well, we are all of different colors and different cultures and different faiths and religion, but at the end of the day, we all came from Adam. Adam and Eve, our father and our mother. Okay? All of us came from that one single point before all the whole world became transformed into different races, cultures, traditions, and everybody got spread out, different regions, right? So everything got transformed, right? So Linux is at the logging mechanism is at the base of digital transformation. If you understand this, hey, You can explain this slide to anybody, you're good to go. And probably we're going to keep using this slide as we move forward. So you will understand where we are coming from. Right. Let's move forward. Now let's go to some very basic stuff. We have talked about some big stuff. We have looked at the big picture. Let's go back to the box. Let's go back to the Linux box, because you got to master the Linux box to understand what happens inside the Linux box, right? How to manage the Linux box, how to do the Red Hat exam of managing one box. You can manage one box, you can manage all of these scalability challenges, right? Right? So if you can do one, you can do 100. That's the whole idea of learning Linux. If I can do one, I can scale up. I can manage all the machines. I can SSH into any machine. They all have the same blueprint, pretty much. The distros will change. They have slightly different commands, but the blueprint is almost identical in Linux, from one distro to the next, with slight changes in some commands here and there. APT for Ubuntu and DNF for this. Big deal. Okay, big deal. So let's get down to what is log rotate. What time is it now? Let's take a 10-minute break. Any questions? We'll come back in 10 minutes, and we're going to try and wrap it up in 1 hour. This is a very easy subject, log rotate, and we'll go through it. Any questions at this time? Let's take a break, 10-minute break, record the resume. So where does, we are going to learn this again anyway. So where does this come? Why am I talking about? Congratulations. We have OpenVPN. Hey. Okay. Why am I so happy about this OpenVPN? Why am I screaming and crying about OpenVPN? Because OpenVPN will make my life easy. You don't need this HTTPS anymore. Right? You don't need the guacamole anymore. You're not going to come into the guacamole anymore, but the guacamole service is going to be there. If you want to use it, it'll be there. Okay.
Okay.
You're not going to come. Yeah.
Yeah. So why I asked that question is just for our own practicing purposes. I know when you run the command, the logger command, you open two screens where you are monitoring the process on one screen and then the command on another screen, and you use PowerShell and you type SSH and an IP address.
Yes, I'm coming to that one.
So I'm asking, when we are practicing on our own and we want to run this PowerShell, which IP addresses should we use to have a second screen that we can monitor?
Very good, very good. And we need, that's why. So now we come to that essential question, why we need OpenVPN. You cannot do what I'm doing because I'm sitting in my own house. I don't have a problem opening multiple screens using PowerShell. With PowerShell in my own data center, this is the data center. This is the same local area network. I am in my local network. I have access to all these machines. I can just go into any machine using my Windows because I'm inside the local area network. You are sitting outside the local network. So in order for me to make it easy for you to be able to open 2, 3, 4, or 5, the only way I can do that is I have now configured an OpenVPN server. So you're going to come when starting tomorrow, the OpenVPN server will take a file. It will add you into the OpenVPN. You will come in here. This server will authenticate you. And immediately, once you're authenticated, it's going to take you to your command prompt. So in your command prompt, you can just type in here SSH root. And you will, with your local window, you will open one window. Then you can add another window. So right now, you're not able to see this SSH word. This SSH root at this, you're not typing it anywhere right now.
Okay.
Because the only way you'll be able to do that is with OpenVPN. Because with OpenVPN, you will come into this OpenVPN machine. The machine will quickly say, okay, that's Abby. And now it will connect your laptop, your command prompt, your PowerShell is now accessing the data center. You as a client can type in any IP 97 that I'm using. If you want to go in there, you can go into any student password because we have given everybody ABC. You can test a machine .129.130.132 because once you're inside here, all these machines you can access them because you're OpenVPN now. You can SSH into this, because you're already inside the data center. From this point, you can go to any machine you want, and you can open multiple windows.
Okay,
That's
very
why
clear.
we need, that's what we're going to do. That's why we need OpenVPN. Without OpenVPN, we cannot do it. And so that's the goal tomorrow. I have already finished configuring it. We're going to test it today, and then I think we will launch it tomorrow. I'm very confident we'll get it tomorrow. We got the free version now. So right. So